I'm Topher Downham with the City of Boulder Open Space and Mountain Parks. I'm a quadriplegic that loves hiking and getting into the outdoors. I'm also a firm believer that everybody needs to get into the outdoors and reconnect with nature. It's important and healthy despite your physical and mental abilities, your age, your gender, your interests, and anything else that separates us from other people, makes us individuals. 10 years ago, I co-wrote a book with a couple other people about the accessible trails of Boulder County. We went around and found all the trails that were accessible and wrote descriptions about them and put out a book called the Boulder Area Accessible Trails. We based our guidebook on basically the universal access. They have some guidelines that show different difficulties based on surface type and cross slope and slope and width of the trail, barriers that could impede somebody that's in a wheelchair or pushing a walker or some sort of other mobility device. Since then, there are new guidelines out. The United States Forest Service has some guidelines that they came up with a couple years ago, and we've been using those. And the American with Disabilities Act has been working with their Access Board, coming up with some new regulations that should be implemented sometime in 2012 or shortly thereafter. So we're now taking all of that stuff and putting it together to create difficulties on using the new or almost new guidelines to give users a sense of what's difficult and what isn't, what's moderate. We're doing this by filming all the trails and showing everything on the trail that's difficult so that a user can actually look on the internet before going out there and see what they're going to run into on the trail and decide whether or not they should actually do that trail or not. Besides showing video footage of all the accessible trails, we'll show you some important aspects, some really cool natural highlights and other really fun stuff out on each trail. And we'll show you which trails are accessible and which trails are accessible but with some exceptions where you might have to only go one direction and turn around and come back the other way. So without further ado, let's go see some of these accessible trails and what we can do outside. See you out on the trails.
I like to get away from time to time and come up here and, yeah, you know, get away from the noises like construction and things. Peaceful. You know, I always, it kind of gets rid of all the stress. You know, you leave all that behind and you just kind of opens their mind and feels just refreshing. Really refreshing.
I was born with a disability called cerebral palsy. As I grow older, I've used different ways of getting around. My husband and I love to walk together. We love the beauty of Colorado, and that's why we always find a reason to hike out in the great outdoors.
The trail we're on, Warner Lake, is great just because it's right in the city and it's close to where I live, and it still feels like you're out in nature. I enjoy coming to these trails because they're flat and easy to walk on when you're pregnant and can't hike the hard stuff. And it's great for me to bring Sadie, my dog, since she's older and can't do the hard stuff either. And it's great that people in all ages and abilities can come out on the Boulder trails and experience nature and get some fresh air and some exercise.
I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic ligament disorder where my body doesn't actually have the protein collagen in the ligaments, so it causes me to dislocate all my joints just from doing simple movements like walking. Ever since I got put in my wheelchair, I've been able to actually go on adventures with my dogs. I really need to be able to get out and be with doing things that I love to do, which most of the times does include being out with my animals, as you can see.
So I've been in Boulder about 7 years now. I came out here for school and for the outdoors, for the mountain biking mainly. I love this town. It's great because you're nestled right up against the mountains, but you have the plains out east, and it's cool because there's wildlife all around us. Boulder County Open Space has done a great job of preserving a lot of it, as well as the city of Boulder putting in these paths where I can actually get out in a wheelchair to places that you wouldn't think are accessible, by getting around. And, to my knowledge, at this point, I've only been in the chair about a year, but there's no other place like it. I haven't been able to go out and sit with the dog and play the harmonica or bird watch or whatever anywhere where undisturbed except for in the sound. That's pretty precious to me for that reason.